This week's message from the angels is a super exciting one about the healing that will happen during the shift. So, welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much for having liked the video, for subscribing. Those of you who are commenting, I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new here, welcome back. My name is Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I do that by going into a deep meditative state, into a deep trance. And from there, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go. I go a little bit higher. I connect at the angelic realm, and then messages and information and healing comes through me. And I share it here with you guys on YouTube. I do that via dictation. It comes with a speak through my vocal cords. So today's message is a doozy. It's really uplifting and inspiring. And I'm so grateful that they decided to share it with us. I'm so grateful that we get to have this information. So it's all about, and they have been giving us many messages over the last couple of weeks, specifically, very specifically about what's going to happen during the big flash of light. The flash of light is a solar energy that's coming to the planet that the angels say will be the moment we look back on that say that is the moment that everything changed. So a big influx. I know we've been having a lot of light hitting the planet. It's been cumulative, but this will be the biggie, right? A giant one that comes in and it will shift everything. And so they said during that process, they've been giving us multiple messages, kind of like each message has been describing this process, helping to understand it from different perspectives. So they gave us one that helped us to understand how our soul will rise during this process. So almost like at the spirit level, how we move from this lower frequency to the higher frequency, and what that feels like, what that experience is going to be. They gave us another message, which was about how the angels are going to be helping us and telling us about what the experience will be like from the angels' perspective. This one, they are now turning it around and saying, okay, now what about the physical body? What's going to happen to the physical body during this experience? So this is huge because so many people have been wondering, like, what about physical healing? Like, what will we still carry our wounds and our injuries and our illnesses into the new reality? And the answer is no. No, I'm so excited. Yeah, it's such good news. So, yeah, and I had a feeling that was the case because they've been telling us that we won't have karma anymore, that we're moving from a karmic experience to a dharmic experience. And most, like many of our wounds, our illnesses are karmic. You know, they're things that we have brought into the body in order to help us better understand ourselves. And by karma, I do not mean a judgment from some external being. I mean the way that we have judged ourselves. It is ways in which we have decided, there are experiences that we design to better understand ourselves in this lifetime. But many of them are bum outs. Much of our karma really stinks to live with. And we are now going to be going through a process of releasing that. And the process, exactly. And this is important because there are steps, there are stages in this message where they tell us how to do it. They tell us what the experience, and this is critical because we need to be in a state of allowing. We need to be not resisting, so that we have to trust the process. And so that is why they want to lay it out step by step. This is what you might feel. This is what might be happening to your body. This is, what the experience is going to be like. And that's all here in the message. So do take your time with it. I'm going to share the original recording of I channeled this last night. So I'm going to share the video of the actual channeling so you can just sit back and just feel the frequencies, and because they are lovely, let the frequencies come through you, and don't worry necessarily about catching every word, because afterwards I will go through and break it down and walk you through every paragraph. And it helps also because often they do have the vocabulary of the angels is like next level. And they frequently use words that have multiple meanings. So we break all of that down in the description. So, all right, you guys, I hope you enjoy it. Have a fabulous rest of your weekend and enjoy the message. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are beginning. We speak to you about your counterpart, about the action you are taking in the possible expression of your light in this unfolding. We wish to assure you that what is already spoken into form will remain, the way you are held within the body itself, the great and greater parameters of your existence shall not change, but what you are within those parameters is changing. The being that you are, the embodiment in this now time, does stay the same. This does not mean, however, that you will carry into the future what holds you back now. It does not mean that you shall always have to hold the forcible subjects of your own sorrow upon you. You shall not be made of harm and strangulation. You should not feel yourself in the grip of what was sublime suffering anymore. There shall be for yourself a gateway you must pass through in the processing of the energies that are coming. There must be a selection of timing that is made by you, by yourselves. You will find the art of carrying your hardship a burden. It becomes heavier. It will feel as though it is exhaustive, as though it is dragging you into the center of an abyss from which you cannot awaken. This shall be the spoken of time of new beginnings. It shall come to the self exactly where you are, and no further need you travel. It shall be harnessing the power of the all that is, the energy that will be here for your awakening. It will come upon the rainbows that have traveled from far away, starlight that is graced with presence of divine nature. And this shall move in between the reasons why you feel you must stay the same always. And it shall refresh your perspective and offer new beginnings. And when this comes upon the self, you shall herald these words, and it shall not torment you as it does now. The thought of these hardships, the remembrances for why you are breaking or have been broken. These passages in your life will carry you no further. They have been an endowment of grace. They have been for a purpose. They have come to help you, to heal you to a greater depth of knowing who you are. But as you are encountering the illuminated space of the new beginning, as it draws you into its fold and announces itself as the herald of great times to come, you shall release those burdens. You shall find yourself asleep, sleeping, lying down, sleeping, resting the self in these moments or hours. As the time evaporates around yourself, you shall find yourself at rest, in peace, at rest, as though all shall evolve in your slumber. And as this comes to pass, the body does process the invitation to come or to stay the same, to come, yes, to come or to go on as you have been living. And the body knows the expectations that you hold. The body has within itself the template that you've shared from the beginning, from the start of this life. The body knows how you've been living, what you would choose, what shall be your hereafter. Thus, if you should wish to move through and into the new beginning, you must simply embrace what elevates your soul and lifts it into its own perspective of the now moment. You must rest, as we have foretold, you must rest into the new beginning. Take the moment of peace, the 3 days of darkness, the moment of peace for the new beginnings. Take this time that separates you now from all that has been. Take this blanketing cocoon, this welcome reprieve from the chaos of structure of all that has been, And within this space, you shall open your heart to an understanding of yourself as something greater than you have been, as something more endowed with presence. It is as if the transformation has already begun and you simply haven't let it be known to yourself, as if it has always been there, rising from your core, from your center, like a person that you know you are, and it comes unannounced into your awareness. And I am this tall, this strong, this greater than I am now. I am this presence. The pressure of now begins to evaporate at the same time, as if the instigation of your awareness dissipates throughout the body and releases that which formed thought previously, releases that which has been hardship through the processing of these understandings from this greater endowment of your truth. These come into you like lessons learned, as if you have been orchestrating all along this relationship to the new you. And as this comes to term, comes to pass, the body shall relinquish its grip upon hardship. The body shall feel itself lessening in its angularities, in its relationships of resistance, in its need to perpetrate harm against you. The body does not wish to, but it may gently hold what is your relationship to your own troubles. It may hold them, empower you to experience yourself further. As you walk into the relationship of the new self to the body, to the higher conscious state that is evolving from within you, the body shall tumble through an orchestrated slide of chaotic rumblings, as if what is within you must be shaken and released. And as you are processing the abundant reflections of all you have been through, the body awakens to a peaceful new beginning. It feels itself as it would be, as it could be, as it might be upon the conclusion of this slumber. It begins to ease into a relationship of new beginnings. It starts to renew itself differently. This processing can take some time upon your journey. It is not immediate, for the body renews itself gradually. The body takes apart what has been the pattern of your creative order and makes new what would be painful, and lessens what would be disease, and opens you to a new reality where hardships are felt as something that is tied to the longing to understand yourself, like gifting, as opposed to an imposition pressed upon you by an external reality which is full of hardship. We say that the body will behave differently in the coming weeks after the separative forces have dislodged you from your previous lives. It will come into its own in pieces and parts, as if the disharmonious portions must be gradually rectified, as if there is an instrumental turning that takes place, and then the repercussions of that turning fall about and find their place in each new day that passes. There will be an unwinding and replacement of what is you. The body shall look the same, be the same, have many of the same features, if not all, in some cases. But where you are holding the agonies of torturous pressure, where you have been sovereign but separated from your truth, where you have instigated a harmful relationship to your own physical expression, these places come into a newfound relationship with peaceful expression, with an understanding of yourself as an embodiment of divinity that may move through the earth with more ease without suffering, and still experience your heart through knowing your truth. It will be a differing experience from what it has been. The body shall need its time. A placement of high frequency energy will assist you. The waiting for the full term of the expression of what is within you before you surmise what is different. Allow yourself this pause and release. Take time to rest, to unwind what has been you. Let the body heal itself gently, gradually, over time. It is not succinct in its descriptive nature. No, the body is long and enduring. The body has encountered yourself for many years, and some of these dialogues have been ongoing. And these pains and these hardships have built up in layers within the body. And these must be unwound most gratefully with the sensation of who you are in full knowing of what you are to become, lessening the disfiguring and the pressurized experiences that have been a part of your wholeness. The new truth of who you are shall come into fruition as one who is embodied in the present now, with all that is your capacity, evolved into the shape of one who may revel in healthful physical embodiment, who may feel yourself no longer as tortured in the physical expression of who you are. This does not mean you can come to no harm in the new reality. This does not mean you cannot be stung by a bee. It simply means you will no longer disease the self as a means and method by which to understand who you are. Thus we say in encouraging words, to take this restful time of which we speak, to take this endowment, a blanket of light will cover thee as you rest, as you lie flat and rest. Not sleep, but rest into a slumbering perspective of yourself in alignment with your truth. Resting will do you good, will allow your body to heal itself, will allow your body to come into a new relationship with you. As we have said, the endowment of this practice will not complete itself within the period of these short days. It will take longer. But know that it is coming, that each moment that you are within the hold of your higher frequency, you are moving through and into a greater and deeper truce with your physical expression. We thank you. So how about that, you guys, right? Like, incredible, right? Absolutely incredible. And I mean, I think we all, you're saying, bring on my truth. I know, yay, Jean, exactly. Yeah, and you're saying fantastic forward progress with no baggage to carry forward. How glorious. I know, right? Exactly. And yeah, so I mean, I think they've been telling us for a long time that we won't have karma in the new world, that we will move into a dharmic experience of life. And that makes it's amazing, right? Amazing to know. And they've described what that will feel like, what Dharma will feel like. It'll be like riding the crest of a wave, and the reality will rise up underneath us, and we'll be working in real time. Like, we won't wad our feelings anymore. We will see them. We will be present to ourselves and to what we're feeling and experiencing, and we'll be able to create in the moment and create our reality. And if we don't like how it's going, we can change or redirect ourselves, as if you're literally on a surfboard going, oh, I don't like it over there. I like it over there. I'm going to go this way. So yeah, so it will be very, very different. So it makes sense that part of like the wounding in our bodies, that the physical illnesses that we have are karmic, right? Many of them are karmic. So they say, yeah, anything that's karmic, like with the kinds of things where we are wounding ourselves. And they said that, like they said, it won't mean that we can't go break an arm. Like, I'm sorry that sorry, Debbie, Deborah, that's got her broken arm right now, or injured arm. But in some cases that might be karmic, right? It might be a situation where we are injured because of karma, and the illness or mishap happens through a karmic encounter. So in those cases, those things probably will be healed. But the idea is that, yeah, that and they describe the process that they want us to go through. They say that when the light comes, when the flash of light comes, which they've talked about, as you guys know, on and on about the flash of light and how it's going to be the moment that we will look back on. Say that is the moment that everything changes. So once that comes, they said that will be this period where, and they've described this as sort of a cocooning phase, where we will go internal, and they want us in that process to lay down and rest. And they describe it as a sleep, but they call it later, they say it's not actually sleeping, it's a slumbering perspective. And they say the body needs to rest, because this is the process where, and this is the part I love, where basically they've been telling us that this is the first lifetime where we are born with two aspects of our soul within us. We have our lower frequency self and our higher frequency self, but both in the same personality, same memories, same everything, shared by two aspects of our soul, right? In one body. So this is very unique for humanity. Never happened before. Well, they say this new aspect, the flash of light comes, this new higher frequency self starts to evolve. When it comes up, it sort of breaks through and gives us a fresh perspective on all of the thoughts we've been having that have been holding us into our karmic wounding. So that is how the body heals. We are constantly being recreated in every moment, and we're recreating our wounding through our perspective, through our thoughts, through our belief systems, right? Well, this higher frequency self comes through and it interrupts those thought processes and frees us from those expressions. So, which is incredible. And I think one of the interesting questions that has come up is that, okay, well, will this experience of raising our frequency heal everything about us? Like, will it make us perfect? And the answer is no. That a big part of our journey is learning about ourselves. And it will raise us. It's almost like you are a specific note in a sheet of music, and you take that note and you're going to move it to a higher octave. Like literally, if you look at a sheet of music, there's all the notes in order, and then if you go up an octave, they repeat all the same notes in the same order. So if you are a C note, you're at this frequency, you're now going to be a C note at this frequency. So which means, and I think this is important in terms of feeling purpose in our lives, is that there's always more to grow, right? And that the growth that you're doing now, the healing work that you're doing now, is critically important, because it may shift you from a C note to a D note, which is awesome. And you are helping to co-create the new reality. That new reality is going to come from within what we are. So it is for yourself that you're becoming a brighter, shinier soul. You may have heard people who've had near-death experiences or people who've had experiences of the other side or memories of the other side, and they will say there are some souls who are brighter and shinier than others. That is why we heal ourselves. It's because when we get to the other side, we are a brighter and shinier soul, right? And so not just another soul. So think about this. We are moving to a higher frequency, which is more akin to what heaven is. But if you are a C note on earth and then you go to heaven, you're still a C note. You're just a C note in heaven. So if we go to the higher frequency, we're still a C note. So this is not a free pass to stop working on ourselves. I guess that's the important point I'm trying to make. It's not like we're getting a free pass, but we're going to express our healing in a way that is so much more fun and so much more gentle, right? It's not going to be a thing where in order to see ourselves, we have to hit ourselves over the head with a club. It will be, you can see yourself because you are going to be more present, because you're going to have a heightened state of awareness, and we'll be able to work with ourselves in the current moment, right? But yeah, all the healing it's easier to heal ourselves now because of the fact that our wounds are so glaring that you can see them so much more easily. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, important points I think to make. So, and you're saying, where is it? Let me go up to where you beginning here. You're saying, wow, just beautiful. Yeah, I thought so too. Shanta says, I so love this message. So relevant to how I feel, where I am on my journey. I love it. Marie says, wow. Yep, me too. And Cheryl says, perfect. Debbie says, I'm most certainly slumbering. Amina says, does that mean the new frequencies will help us heal faster? Yes, they will. They in the new reality, it'll be different because like, and that's the thing, is that this is the hard, like the earth as we've been in it has been like the hardest school. It is the one that is the most grinded out, where we are the most, it's like going to boot camp. You know what I mean? We are in boot camp. And so there's a certain thing about boot camp that you can't ignore yourself. And when things are easy, we know this about humanity, is we change because we have to. So how will we be conscious enough in the new reality to change because we want to? And that's going to be on us. And that's why I say heal as much as you can now, because we got to shift into this perspective, into this higher frequency state of being, so that we are engaged in our healing in the new reality, right? But this reality that we're in, it's like, yeah, you can't help it. You can't help but encounter yourself here. And yeah, so it'll be different. But I do think that the actual, as long as we're present and watching ourselves, I think we will be able to shift things more easily there, which will be great, really fantastic. It might just be harder to see it, right? Harder to get to some of those deeper layers, which is why there are going to be some souls who choose to stay in a karmic construct, who are going to leave the earth and go to another planet, or another place, I should say. I'm assuming it's another planet that is going to stay in. Has to be another planet. That's going to be in a karmic environment where they can continue to work on the lessons they've been working with. But that is why I say go for broke, go for all out now, heal as much as you can now, and then move into this beautiful new reality. Yeah. And yeah, Melita says, wow, bring it on. And then Jean says, beautiful. I study with Paul Seligan, the other guy, and the Guy T channels, and they said the same in a 5-day intensive I just finished this week. Oh, that is so cool. I love it. Don't you love it when you start, because that's what I call truthiness, is when you start getting it from all different sources and all the messages. Everybody's got a different lens. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a kaleidoscope, and each of us is bringing a different perspective, including what you get in your own connection and your dreams and your own, what you feel. And but if it all overlaps, you're like, ooh, that's extremely truthy. Yeah. Debbie's laughing. Rodney says, I'll take a bee sting or broken arm over cancer any day. Hooray for that. Nancy says, I deal with 2 autoimmune disorders. Wow, to be rid of those. I know, incredible, right? But now use it to navigate your healing. Use them, right? Use those feelings, everything that comes up. Navigate by our feelings of everything that's triggering us. Such an opportunity right now to heal. Yeah. Jesse says, I missed the beginning of this. Yep, it'll be up here later for you. And then Anna says, this is so profound and insightful. Woohoo! Yep. And then you say, when I think about how tired I become with these frequencies of the angel meditations, and how much rest we will need rebirthing into our new, into the self, into these new frequencies, is very true. It makes total sense that they tell us to go into a meditative state and evolve from there. We will have to free up energy in order to do this. The more energy we can free up in our system, the better, which is why they're saying rest, like just chill out for this period. Yeah. And then here's to the bright and shiny stars. Absolutely. So, all right, so let's go ahead and break it down, you guys, and see, because there is a few things in here. The message, I think, is a very clear one, but I want to just break out certain pieces of it to give you a little bit more depth. So they start out, they always tell us, they broadcast in the beginning, this is what the message is going to be about. And here they say, we are beginning. We speak to you about your counterpart. Your counterpart, I believe, is the second soul, or not the second soul, but the second aspect of our soul that's inside of us. It's coming up and out of us as part of this shift. So that's our counterpart, our other part, right? And I like it that it's counter. It's like it's a balancing part of ours. Part of us, about the action you are taking in the possible expression of your light in this unfolding. So it's really about, like, what is it that we need to do as we are going through the shift. So this is what they're telling us, which is to lay down and rest. And then they talk about the gate. There's a gateway we have to pass through. So this is really interesting. They go on to say in the next paragraph, we wish to assure you that what is already spoken into form will remain. So in other words, your physical body is going to stay the same. The way you are held in the body itself, the great and greater parameters of your existence shall not change. So in other words, you're going to wake up and you're still going to be in your house, right? But what you are within those parameters is changing. So this is, and that's really critical. So what you are is what is creating the expression of yourself into this physical form. So you are all of the thoughts, beliefs, everything else, memories, all of that, emotions. So that is going to be changing. That will raise to a higher frequency. And then that in turn affects the manifestation, the expression of yourself into the physical body. They go on to say the being that you are, the embodiment of this now time, does stay the same. So physical, like in other words, you're not going to all of a sudden wake up and have red hair when you used to be, have black hair. You'll be the same physical genealogy, all that kind of stuff. They go on to say, this does not mean, however, that you will carry into the future what holds you back now. It does not mean that you shall always have to hold the forcible subjects of your own sorrow upon you. So isn't that, I love how they describe things, but the forcible, so something by force, forcing subjects of your own sorrow. So it's like, in other words, we're not going to be taking the things, the wounds that we have, and holding them, pushing them into our physical body, right? You shall not be made of harm and strangulation. And such an interesting choice of words, strangulation. It really makes me think about the idea that we are meant to be free-flowing divine beings, that we're meant to be a conduit for our divine light. Strangulation, anything that cuts off our light, right? And all of these negative beliefs, illnesses, everything strangulates our light. Right? So harm and strangulation, that's what we experience. If you had to sum it up beautifully from the angel's perspective, all disease, everything comes as a strangulation of our light, right? Beautiful choice of words. Yeah. You should not feel yourself in the grip of what was sublime suffering anymore. And sublime is the archaic meaning of the word sublime, is to elevate to a high degree of spiritual purity or excellence. So sublime suffering. Our suffering has been there to elevate us to a high degree of spiritual purity. That has been the point, right? And then they're always reassuring us, reminding us that everything is for a reason, that all that we go through is for a purpose, that it is helping us, that it's not for nothing. Yeah. All right, next paragraph, they say, there shall be for yourself a gateway you must pass through in the processing of the energies that are coming. And this is interesting because I think this is critical. I think and I think that it will be a thing where we would figure this out in the moment. If we were there, it would be like obvious, or that we would be guided, or they would pull us through. You know what I mean? They would like show us, here's the gate, come through. Like they will show us. But knowing in advance it's nice. It's nice to know. It will be helpful going into this because we'll be like, oh yeah, there's the gate, right? We have directions. So there's a gateway we must pass through in the processing of the energies that are coming. There must be a selection of timing that is made by you, by yourselves. And so this is relevant because when this energy comes to the planet, there are many of us that will transition right away, right? That we will go through this period, we will emerge on the other side and we'll be like, ta-da, like, check me out, I'm awesome. Except we're all awesome because we're all one. But there will be some people that maybe that you know who will get there. But not right away. There may be people that you love that will get there, but not right away. And that is perfectly okay. And that is part of the reason that we came, is to help them, to show them, to give them whatever they need to help them through the gateway. So what they're trying to say is that timing is going to be individual. The flash of light is a big deal because it is an overwhelming amount of energy that's coming. And if we are open to it, it will give us a massive boost up. But there will be many people who are not open to it. And so they will choose their timing. And it may be in 10 years that they go through this process. And that is perfectly okay. And that's what they're saying here. And when they do, they will then have to go through this same gateway that they're describing for us. So that is why it's going to be super important. And that's why they keep telling us we need to observe. We need to be aware. We need to know and understand what this process is so that we can guide others through it. Does that make sense? Yeah, hopefully that does. And then they say, okay, they said there'll be a selection of timing that is made by you, by yourselves. And then they say, you will find the art of carrying your hardship a burden. It becomes heavier. It will feel as though it is exhaustive, as though it is dragging you into the center of an abyss from which you cannot awaken. So this is so helpful to know. That as this is coming, what it will feel like in the beginning is going to be like, it's almost as if your body is going to get incredibly heavy. Like whatever it is that's going on with you, if it's a physical injury, but it might just be that the body feels incredibly heavy. And I can super relate to this because you wouldn't think of it, but high frequency feels heavy in our bodies. When I first started, you guys know this, when I first started channeling the angels, when they came in, it felt, the first time they were trying to pull me up to a higher frequency, it felt they were so heavy on me I could barely breathe. It was literally like a 200 person sitting on my chest. That's what it felt like. It was like it was heavy. And it would have scared me, except I knew there was nobody there. I knew it was spirit. I knew it was my angels, my guide. So I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? And that's the attitude we have to be in, to trust and have faith as we feel that. It might feel like crazy pressure of heaviness on your body. So just know that, and know that that is what that is. is it, I would describe it as the G forces of switching frequencies. It is this shift from one frequency to a higher frequency is literally like being like in a rocket ship, or if you've ever been on a super fast ride like at a theme park, it is that's what it feels like. It's like you just it's heavy. And it can feel like pressure, like being under an ocean, where like it might, like on me, it came over like over my ears, over my head. It came from me when I channeled them at the first couple times. It felt like having this helmet that came down to about here. But this will be whole body. So just know that might be what we feel. And if that happens, like just breathe through it, do your best. You're still going to be able to breathe. You just got to kind of chill and not freak out. And know that what this is actually you trying to acclimate to a much higher frequency in a very short period of time. So yeah, so it might be something. It might be something interesting. And you're saying we need an ascension guidebook. Ooh, that is the book I'm putting out, you guys. That is the book I'm working on, which I'm hoping to have this week, as an ascension guidebook for you guys. And it will have all this stuff all laid out in order. Yes. Marie says, is walking through the gateway like a prior message we are practice walking? Yes, exactly. Yes, it is. And then Anne was saying, I was going to ask about that. Will the frequency knock us out? And no, they say that they want us, we'll be in a slumbering presence is how they describe it. So we'll get to that part and we'll go into it more depth. But it's like we want to lay down as if you're going to go to sleep, but you're in a slumbering presence. So it's like, I think what it is I think we might be just slightly outside of our bodies, to be honest. I think it is like slumber, but present. So it's like the body is dormant, but we are still alert. So I think it's a slumbering presence, as the best way I would, yeah, but that's what they say, but that's how I would understand it. Like aware, I think it might feel a lot like it is when I channel, to be honest. When I channel, I'm kind of over here, just right over here. I'm not physically there, but it's like I pulled out of my body enough that I'm aware of what's happening, but I'm so far in my right-hand brain, it's hard for me to retain things. I retain visuals well, not words, when I'm channeling. And so it might be like that, where we're kind of just sort of easing out of the body a little bit. Yeah. All right. So then they go on to say, so the body gets heavier. Just be aware of that. Then they go on to say, this shall be the spoken of time of new beginnings. We're saying when this happens, when you feel yourself get really heavy like this is the spoken of time of new beginnings. So that's when it's happening, right? And then they say, it shall come to the self exactly where you are, and no further need you travel. In other words, that they're saying it doesn't matter if you're not done. It doesn't matter if you haven't finished. It doesn't matter if you haven't become the bodhisattva, and if you don't have, lightning bolts of joy coming out of your eyeballs at all times. Like, it is okay if you, yelled at someone yesterday and you're getting this big flash of light today. Like, you can still do it. It's going to meet us where we are. And that is the part I was telling us about, that it takes us exactly as we are today, and then it lifts us to this new register. So you don't have to be perfect to do it, right? Which is good news. You need travel no further in order to come along, right? Which is perfect. And it also means you don't literally need to leave your house and go to some way station you don't have to get on a ship, or you don't have to go, it's just going to meet you where you are and lift you. Yeah, which is great. Good news. So then they go on to say, it shall be a harnessing of the power of the all that is. So this is what the end of the flash of light is, right? A harnessing of the power of the all that is, of divine presence, right? The energy that will be here for your awakening. It comes, I love this part, it comes upon the rainbows that have traveled from far away. So it might actually, I wonder if it will look like rainbows. Wouldn't that be incredible? Wow, I wonder if it will. They don't choose their words for no reason. It comes upon the rainbows that have traveled from far away. Wow, I wonder if we'll see prisms and stuff, so maybe it'll look like rainbows to our eyes. That will be amazing. So think about aurora borealis, but this could be a whole nother thing. I am so curious, you guys. I need to just not be so curious. I need to release and allow and let it take whatever time it's going to take. But boy, am I curious. Yeah. Starlight, they say, rainbows that have traveled from far away, starlight that is graced with presence of divine nature. Beautiful. So it comes from a star. We know that already. And this shall move in between the reasons why you feel you must stay the same always. And it shall refresh your perspective and offer new beginnings. So this is how the body heals, is this light comes in, and it breaks apart. It comes in between the reasons, right? So all of the thought patterns we have about why we have to be this way, why we have to have this autoimmune disorder or whatever it is, this light comes in between all of those reasons, and it's almost like it cracks the foundations of those reasons and breaks them apart so that the body can renew itself in a new way. Yeah, super, super cool. And refreshes our perspective, right? So that and this is part of it, is that higher expression of ourselves coming up. And then they say, and when this comes upon the self, you shall herald these words, and it shall not torment you as it does now, the thought of these hardships. So this is when this happens, you'll remember hearing this, and the hardships that you've had won't torment you anymore, is what they're saying. You'll remember this word, and it will be part of your releasing. It'll help you in the releasing, right? To let go of them. The remembrances for why you are breaking or have been broken. These passages in your life will carry you no further. So there's two things here. There's the having been broken, having been injured, having been hurt. And then there's our memory of those things and the way that we make meaning for ourselves out of those experiences. Like there's so many hurts that we carry that become part of our identity and even though we don't want them to, they do. It's like I remember when, boy, I had to learn the lesson of forgiveness, and boy, did I want to let go of those feelings. I did not want to feel bad anymore, but sometimes it's so hard. Like you can sit there and say, I don't want to feel this, but there it is. And then it brings up the anger and it brings up the frustration and all the things, right? This helps us with it. It helps us to release those patterns so that we can, the ones that are specifically affecting, like the karmic ones, the ones that we have had a hard time breaking free from. Yeah. So then, so then they go on to say, these passages in your life will carry you no further. And then they say, they have been an endowment of grace. They're reminding us they've always been of purpose, right? They have been for purpose. They have come to help you, to heal you to a greater depth of knowing who you are. So, and this is an important distinction. So our karma is a reflection of who we are. We're not healing who we are, we're healing our karma. And so this isn't changing our base soul state. This is changing the karmic expression of our base soul state. So it's almost like when we come into the earth, we put on a specific set of clothes, right? Or we take on a specific set of experiences or beliefs that are then going to express these aspects of us into reality so we can see it. And this is wiping all that clean. So we still have, and that's why the healing thing is a big deal. That's why we want to continue to work on ourselves, because what we want to do is change, or not so much change, it is love. It is, and to love, we understand. We draw it closer into ourselves. We have a greater, and this is amazing. Think of it like this, that on the other side, you are light. But is your light sharp and crisp, or is it diffuse and blurry, right? And if you are sharp and crisp, it means that you have taken all these parts of yourself and really understood them at depth and integrated, and you become more and more a focused point of light, like a laser beam. And before we know ourselves very well, we're sort of loosey-goosey and vague, like an incandescent light bulb that just kind of glows dimly, you know what I mean? But if you want a really bright light, we got to know ourselves and know ourselves and know ourselves, and we get more and more crisp in who we are. That is what it is. And in order to do that, we take certain aspects. We're like, okay, I really want to understand this. I want to bring this into sharp relief. So I'm going to create karma around it, and I'm going to live it in this life. So we've had this whole time to do that. And now they're saying, great, okay, now we're going to wipe this up. You're going to take everything you've learned. But they did say in this process, we're going to try to glean the learning out of the physical embodiment that we have. So they did say that at one point, that we'll try during the process, and that's part of the reason they want us to be in a slumbering perspective, that as these wounds are healing, as the karma is healing, we're going to try to extract as much lessons about ourselves, as much understanding about ourselves as we can through that process, to try to take that with us. That's the goal. Yeah. All right. So then they say, these passages in your life will carry you no further. They have been an endowment of grace. They have been for purpose. They have come to help you, to heal you to a greater depth of knowing who you are. But as you are encountering the illuminated space of the new beginning, as it draws you into its fold and announces itself as the herald of great times to come, you shall release those burdens. So that is really, really cool, right? So, And then I made a note to myself right here, a visual that they showed me is they were talking about the process of healing, that they were showing me that it's going to take time for the body to heal. And I specifically got a vision of somebody with an arm that was healing. It was almost like, imagine that you had frostbite on your arm and it was healing as part of this. And it was a karmic experience and you're healing it through this ascension process or this shifting process. They showed it as molting, and that was the word that they used. Like it's almost like a fresh new layer rising from underneath. So if you know what a bird molting looks like, it's not pretty. A molting bird is like a mess of feathers and fuzz. Like half of it is fuzzy and half of it is feathers. So in the process of the healing, we may go through a period where we look a little rough. But it will emerge, and you'll be able to see underneath will be the fresh new skin that's coming to the surface. But it's going to be a period where it's kind of half and half, 50-50. So we might not be looking that good for a little while as our new self is trying to emerge and pushing the old stuff to the surface, right? So just so we know that. And that was the specific word they gave was molting, and the vision they gave was the arm and this kind of like process of, a molting process. Yeah. All right, so they go on to say, they're talking now about the process again. They say, you shall find yourself asleep, sleeping, lying down, sleeping, resting the self in these moments or hours. As the time evaporates around yourself, you shall find yourself at rest, in peace, at rest, as though all shall evolve in your slumber. And so interesting, they say the time evaporates around yourself. So they've talked about that we will be freed from time. So I think this is what they're talking about, that time in this process, time evaporates around ourselves. I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. I'm so excited for this, you guys. So yeah. So then they say, and they're saying here sleeping, but I think it's the body is sleeping, and that they're saying that, but they're emphasizing for us that the body is at rest, is at peace, and we are in the slumbering perspective. They go on to say next paragraph, and as this comes to pass, the body does process the invitation to come or to stay the same, to come, yes, to come, or to go on as you have been living, and the body knows the expectation that you hold. The body has within itself the template that you've shared from the beginning, from the start of this life. The body knows how you've been living, what you would choose, what shall be your hereafter. And I like that they add that part there. So in other words, it could be a thing where you came into this life with the idea that you weren't going to shift, and you may have changed your mind in the middle. Or you may know someone, right, who came in and you think that they probably weren't on a spiritual path. They probably were just trying to get the most they could out of this healing moment that we have right now. But maybe they changed their mind, and maybe they're coming, which is awesome. And they said, okay, that's all right. Because the body knows, not only does it know the blueprint that you came in with for the life that you are going to have, but it also knows the way you've been living. It knows if you have veered off that blueprint and made another choice. So then they say, so the body is in tune with your desires and will choose along with you. And so then they go on to say, thus, if you should wish to move through and into the new beginning, you must simply embrace what elevates your soul and lifts it into its own perspective of the now moment. So this is really that allowing and opening that they keep talking to us about all the time, that it is so much about the trust fall of just allowing yourself to be held, guided by the angels into this process, through this process, that we have to release and allow, and not try to control the process. Just let it happen is the idea, and trust your body is going to do the right thing. Trust the angels are going to guide you. Like, it's as long as you are open, that is the main thing. It's that they've said before, the only way we can reject it is by trying to hold on to the way things work, which is turning our back to it. So you can't miss out. But releasing and allowing is going to make this process painless, right? And that's the main thing. Yeah. And they go on to say, again, you must rest as we have foretold. You must rest into the new beginning. What a beautiful, right there, just there. You must rest into the new beginning. It is that whole idea of releasing and allowing and shifting to the feminine perspective. We are so used to an overexpression of our masculine energy, knowing, as you guys know, I don't mean male or female, I mean our yin yang, our feminine masculine expression inside of each person, that we are so used to leaning into action, that it is at work hard, play hard, that we have to go, do. And they're saying, not here. If you try to go, do, you are trying to take control, and that is going to make it a lot harder on you. They say the goal here is to rest into. Like, how do we get there? Through resting. Resting is the action. The non-action is the action we have to take, right? So I think that is cool the way they phrase it, to rest into the new beginning. Take the moment of peace, the 3 days of darkness, the moment of peace for the new beginnings. Take this time that separates you now from all that has been. Take this blanketing cocoon, and blanketing, think about the weight of a blanket upon you. Heaviness is going to feel heavy. Blanketing cocoon, this welcome reprieve from the chaos of structure of all that has been, right? So amazing, you guys. So amazing. And you say, well, now knowing that we don't need to be perfect first, I will relax more. Yeah, exactly, right? It is so exciting, you guys. All right, they go on to say, where is it? I lost my place. Okay, here it is. Then they go on to say, and within this space, you shall open your heart to an understanding of yourself as something greater than you have been, as something more endowed with presence. It is as if the transformation has already begun and you simply haven't let it be known to yourself, as if it has always been there, rising from your core, from your center, like a person that you know you are, and it comes unannounced into your awareness. I am this tall, I am this strong, this greater than I am now. I am this presence. So this is that second self inside of us, that higher frequency version of your soul, of this spirit that you are now. So this is what's rising, saying as if it's always been there, because it has, is what they're saying. Rising as it has always been there, rising from your core, right? And so we're sort of half in dialogue with this part of ourself now, like we're kind of burbles up every now and again. Now it's going to rise up completely, right? And it's going to be what we lead with going forward. And then they say the pressure of now begins to evaporate at the same time as if the instigation of your awareness dissipates throughout the body and releases that which formed thought previously. So this is a big sentence. So let's just break it down a little bit. But this is describing how the release happens. So the pressure of now, which is the density, right, of now, the pressure also is the pressure on the body of trying to move into this higher frequency. The pressure that now begins to evaporate. So we'll feel this heavy, heavy pressure, and then it will slowly begin to evaporate. Well, it'll slowly let up as the higher awareness that comes in starts to dissipate through the whole body. It's almost like they described it in a past channeling, that it's almost like it blossoms up from inside of us, So then think of it as like a replication of a thought pattern. That if we have right now the thought pattern of I am small, I am small, I am small, and that's a constant belief that just goes and circulates, and it creates this shutting down and contraction in the body, and that contraction is manifested in various illnesses, and we have this moving and moving and moving always as part of our self-identity. It's a constant thought loop that moves through our body, and then we go through this process and we're feeling the pressure on that thought process. Because it's not in alignment with the new higher frequency, so we feel pressure, heaviness. Then this light comes in, and that boosts the inner being, which is our higher expression that starts to come up from inside of us. And those thoughts take precedence. They come forward in front of the other thoughts. At the same time, those old thoughts are starting to crack and fall apart, right? Because of the light that's come in. It's starting to crack and break those old thoughts. The new thoughts are coming forward, and those new thoughts are starting to replate. I am giant. I am huge. I am enormous. I am wonderful. I am what is the opposite, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And those start to replicate out, and that starts to fill the body with a new version of yourself. So that's kind of how I understand this passage. So the instigation of your awareness dissipates throughout the body and releases that which formed thought previously. Right? So the old belief system releases that which has been hardship to the processing of these understandings from this greater endowment of your truth. So, and this is important, the processing of the understandings from the higher perspective, from the greater endowment of your truth. So in other words, as we are releasing, as those old thought patterns are cracking up, they're not just going away. We are trying to glean from them, right? Trying to process them into understanding, which means taking them through the heart is what it means. It's processing it through the heart is how we try to understand. So there might be feelings that are rising during this process, as happens in any release. So you might have waves of feeling that are coming up. And if that happens, just let them fill you up and release them. So we're going to try to glean as much understanding of ourself as our soul as we can during this process. So just to know that in advance. So if you have waves of emotion, roll with it, do the ugly cries, let it flow through you, and know it won't last. Those waves of emotion will pass, okay? So then they go on to say, these come into you like lessons learned, as if you have been orchestrating all along this relationship to the new you. Yeah, beautiful. So the lessons learned. So that's kind of the idea. We're trying to gain as much as we can. Then they go on to say, and as this comes, the term comes to pass, the body shall relinquish its grip upon hardship. The body shall feel itself lessening in its angularities, in its relationships of resistance, in its need to perpetrate harm against you. And then they say the body doesn't wish to perpetrate harm against you, but they say, but it may gently hold what is your relationship to your own troubles. So it's a reflection of the troubles, of your emotion inside of you creates disease in the body. Yeah. And then they go on to say, it may hold them, empower you to experience yourself further. So this is the main reason why it's happened in the past, is so that we could understand and experience ourselves more deeply. And then they go on to say, as you walk into the relationship of the new self to the body, to the higher conscious state that is evolving from within you, the body shall bumble through an orchestrated slide of chaotic rumblings, as if what is within you must be shaken and released. So you may have some spasming. You may have some random, like it may almost be like a seizure or something like that, a chaotic rumbling. So this could be subtle, right? It could come up out of the body as like a tremble, a little tremble, or it could be crazy town, right? You could be flailing. I have no idea. Chaotic rumblings, right? Rumblings. And shaken and released. So know that could happen. You could have a shake, the body could shake as part of this process. And they call it an orchestrated slide. So know that all of these things that you're going through in this process are part of an orchestra. There's many different instruments all playing to create one beautiful piece of music. So it's all part of the plan, is what they're saying. Yeah. and then they go on to say, where are we? Okay, here we are. And then they say, and as you are processing the abundant reflections of all you have been through, the body awakens to a peaceful new beginning. It feels itself as it would be, as it could be, as it might be upon the conclusion of this slumber. It begins to ease into a relationship of new beginnings. It starts to renew itself differently. And think about this, that our cells are in a constantly dying and renewing themselves, that we have constant renewal happening in our body. I read somewhere once that your entire physical body replaces itself within a certain period of time. Some things faster than others. I think it's like your skin is 100% replaced within like 14 days. Like it's really fast. And then there's certain organs that take a lot longer. Like it might be 6 months for certain organs to completely regenerate, right? So your body is constantly regenerating itself. So it starts to renew itself differently. So what that means is, as it is regenerating itself, as new cells are coming on to take the place of the ones that are dying, the new cells will hold the new belief systems, which are that you don't have to have this disease. You don't have to have these pains or these hardships, right? So it will show up differently in the body. Yep. And then they go on to say, where is it? This process, here it is. This process can take some time upon your journey. It is not immediate, for the body to renews itself gradually. The body takes apart what has been the pattern of your creative order and makes new what would be painful and lessens what would be disease, and opens you to a new reality where hardships are felt as something that is tied to the longing to understand yourself, like gifting as opposed to an imposition pressed upon you by an external reality which is full of hardship. So our whole relationship to healing will be different in the future. That it won't be a thing where we have these things happen to us. Right here they say where that are pressed upon us. It won't be like that. It'll be a thing much more like where it is a gift that's given to us to help us better understand ourselves. And we'll see it. It'll be almost like a challenge that you sign up for. right? That you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Like I want to see how I am or how I would be. I know that's going to be not easy for me to do, but I want to try it. Maybe it's almost like signing up for extra credit, signing up for new assignments. You want to try it and see and learn and see and it might mean that you want to create something and you don't know how to create it. So you might get frustrated at times. You might go through all the same feelings that you would have, but they're not in the context of something being done to you. It's because you're really motivated to do something, right? You're saying the healing Olympians. Yeah, gosh, that's such a great analogy. It would be a little bit like being an Olympian, where you're like, I choose to do this hard thing, right? I choose to go through all these trainings and to do all this stuff because I want to perform at that level, because I want to achieve that higher state of consciousness. Yeah, so cool. And Sherry's asking, I hope this will be for mental health as well. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. Like, I think it's everything that comes into the body. It usually stems from something that was already there before we got here, some belief system or limitation or whatever. So I imagine it will be for any type of disorder that we might carry in the body, any type of expression of dis-ease, discomfort in the body. Yeah. So, so then they go on to say, where are we? I keep getting interested in what we're saying and I lose my place. Okay. And then they say, and opened you to a new, okay, I just read that part. And then they go on to say, and that was the part where I then got the image of the molting, how it comes up from the inside. Then they say, we say that the body will behave differently in the coming weeks after the separative forces have dislodged you from your previous lives. The separative forces is the flash of light that's coming, the energy. And then they say it will come into its own pieces and parts as if the disharmonious portions must be gradually rectified. Yeah. As if there is an instrumental turning that takes place. And then the repercussions of that turning fall about and find their place in each new day that passes. So it'll get better day by day, right? Whatever our physical situations are, we'll get better day by day. There will be an unwinding and replacement of what is you. The body shall look the same, be the same, have many of the same features, if not in all in some cases, but where you are holding the agonies of torturous pressure, where you have been sovereign but separated from your truth. So in other words, an expression of wounding, right? Where you have instigated a harmful relationship to your own physical expression, these places come into a newfound relationship with peaceful expression. So anywhere that your body is holding, wounding in a physical way, all of that comes to be healed, right? So cool. And so so we no longer have to manifest disease and or physical suffering, which is so cool. And then they go on to say, with an understanding of yourself as an embodiment of divinity that may move through the earth with more ease without suffering. And still experience your heart through knowing. So they're saying we're still going to grow. Doesn't mean we won't grow anymore, but in a new way. They say through knowing your truth. It will be a differing experience from what it has been. A dharmic experience instead of a karmic experience, right? Then they say the body shall need its time, a placement. And so this is really important, is they're trying to tell us to not to get anxiety about, is it happening, like the watched pot, right? We're trying to watch the pot of water to boil. Has it healed yet? Am I healed yet? How is it coming? Like to not watch it with the fear that it's not going to happen. They say that they want us to just be, and that's I think why they keep emphasizing it's going to take time. Stop asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Like we have to just know it's going to take whatever time it takes. And that's our healing journey. And we need to be okay with that and recognize that every day is going to be a little better, and just take peace in that. Like notice the changes in each day, but don't try to watch the water boil with impatience. Yeah. The body shall need its time. A placement of high frequency energy will assist you, which is the flash of light. The waiting for the full term of the expression of what is within you before you surmise what is different. So in other words, they don't actually want us to be looking to see what is different every day. They want us to just wait for the full expression. Just be with it. Just be with yourself. Let it flow. Don't be constantly looking to see if it's almost like taking the Band-Aid off and being like, how's the healing going? How's the healing going? They don't want us to do that. Allow yourself this pause and release. Take time to rest, to unwind what has been you. Let the body heal itself gently, gradually over time. And then they say it is not succinct. And to be succinct means to be precise, brief, but it also means tied down or restrained, which I love that, right? So the body is not succinct. It's not meant to be tied down or restrained. It's meant to be in flow, right? It is not succinct in its descriptive nature. No, the body is long and enduring. The body has encountered yourself for many years, and some of these dialogues have been ongoing. And these pains and these hardships have built up in layers within the body, and these must be unwound most gratefully. Don't you love that? Most unwound gratefully, with the sensation of who you are in full knowing of what you are to become. So there is that level of trust and faith we have to have, that we need to see every little bit of healing with total gratitude. Like if we're still carrying some of what we don't want, we have to look at that and in gratitude for what it taught us, and in gratitude for the healing process, knowing full well, having 100% trust and faith in that we are going to get to a place of no longer carrying those wounds, and just see it from the perspective of, wow, I know it's going to happen. Now I just get to watch it unfold. Right? And get to watch myself heal and think about how marvelous that is, how incredible that is, right? That's the state of mind we were going to try to be in, as opposed to the impatient state of mind of like, get it off me, right? Okay. And then they say, lessening the disfiguring and the pressurized experiences that have been a part of your wholeness. So that's going to be, it's a gradual lessening and finally letting go of. Then they say, the new truth of who you are shall come into fruition as one who is embodied in the present now with all that is your capacity, evolved into the shape of one who may revel, which is like be totally excited and happy and joyful in the healthful physical embodiment, right? So in other words, you're going to get to a place where you are in a completely healthy physical body, which is like incredible, right? Incredible. Who may feel yourself no longer as tortured in the physical expression of who you are, which is like, to me, that is amazing, because I know so many people that live with some degree of constant pain. And I think about how grumpy it can make a person and how hard it is to go into the world cheerfully when you constantly hurt. You know, all those people that need joint replacements, that need, that have, chronic fatigue, that have like all these things, right? That are just brutal. And some of them are just lingering, where it's like you can still live your life. It's just every little movement hurts, and yeah, no longer. Like all of that, freed from that. And imagine what that'll do. That'll go hugely towards just making this world a better place. So many more happy people, right? Yeah. And then they go on to say, this does not mean that you can come to no harm in the new reality, so we can still be injured. This does not mean you cannot be stung by a bee. It simply means you will no longer disease the self as a means and method by which to understand who you are. So we are no longer creating disease within our own bodies. But if you were to drink a gallon of poison, you're still going to die from that poison, is what they're saying. You're not invincible. So we still need to treat the body as it is biological. It is still a physical flesh and bone. Bones can break, all that kind of stuff. So we still have to treat ourselves with care and respect. And then they go on to say, thus we say in encouraging words, to take this restful time of which we speak, to take this endowment, a blanket of light will cover thee as you rest, as you lie flat and rest. Not sleep, but rest into a slumbering perspective of yourself in alignment with your truth. Resting will do you good, will allow your body to heal itself, will allow your body to come into a new relationship with you. Love it. As we have said, the endowment of this practice will not complete itself within the period of these short days. It will take longer, but know that it is coming, that each moment that you are within the hold of your higher frequency, you are moving through and into a greater and deeper truce with your physical expression. We thank you. I love this message. Yeah. And I just want to add to that there are some people I know that have, like, say, for example, you had something that was not like a disease that you manifested, but like a botched surgery. Like, say that you had something that maybe you had a car accident or something. Those are often karmic experiences, especially if they lead to some kind of a lifelong pain, some kind of a thing that's with you for long periods of time, that often you are working out a karmic experience through that. And it is karmic, therefore, that I imagine that will be healed as well. So I just want to clarify that, because I know there are some people and people in our group who have had to endure those kinds of issues. And I just want to make sure you're included in this. So, which is exciting. Very, very exciting, you guys. So let me go back and see. You guys have added. I love the conversation you guys are having today. It's such an exciting message, you guys. And I'm just going to go back here a bit. Here you say, where was that? Got to shift ground. Let me see here. Where is it? I'm a pathwise regressionist and had a wonderful session with a client yesterday. Amazing healing and insight. So yesterday was great for us. Yes. And oh, that is awesome. I love to hear that. Yeah, I bet. And they said, got to ground during the energy shift, be barefoot, or do what the Anne says, and is with imagining the roots growing into the center of the earth. Yes, absolutely. Grounding is going to be very, very helpful to ground into the earth. And they gave us in other messages, they gave us they described more in depth the process of the second self emerging. So they've given us a couple other messages. One was describing the process of the inner self emerging, which was super, super cool. They also gave us a message that described what the angels will be doing during this process, how they are going to be guiding us through it. This time, they're addressing the body and saying, this is what the body's going to be doing. So first was, this is what your spirit's going to be doing. Then it was, this is what the angels are going to be doing. Now this is what the body's going to be doing. So all three fit together, and they all should be giving us a much clearer and better picture of, and know that it's all the same, right? Your angels are actually integrated with who you are. Your body is part of who you are. Your spirit, your soul is part of who you are. So it's all the same, but they're breaking it apart into these portions so that I think we can have a better understanding, kind of one piece at a time, one layer at a time. But yeah, grounding is great. So make sure we listen to those other messages and keep those in mind as well. Yeah. And Amy says, I've been listening to last month's Peace Bathing. Peace Bathing is our monthly healing program that we do to help us keep pace with the energies of the shift. And Amy is in that program. And she says that she's been listening to that every night. And it's all about relaxing our bodies to let the change happen. Easeful. I love that. It's such a profound message. The ongoing embrace of the supernatural state of self. The angels are word masters, aren't they? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that ongoing embrace of the supernatural state of self. I love that. Oh, gorgeous. Thank you, Amy, for sharing it. And then you're saying, Carrie says, I hope no seizures. Been there, done that. Not fun. Yeah, I can't imagine it would be, like, seizures can be actually dangerous. And I don't think this is going to be that. But I think they're trying to describe a rumbling. They described a rumbling in the body. So it's like, just know that if you feel yourself, and I have had that before in a healing process where I've had sort of shaking happening in my body. And often it's like it's loosening, and it always feels like I'm shaking more than I actually am in the process, but it's never been severe. So I wouldn't worry about it being like if you've had an actual seizure. I don't mean to joke about that at all, because it's not at all funny, and I know those can be quite dangerous. But so know that if you have a trembling, if you have a rumbling, if you feel yourself, that is part of the process. Yeah. What does it mean when you have hard shakes? When I was in self-convert and now at times, yeah, Nikki, yeah, hard shakes, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's exactly what I talk about. Yeah. And it is like, it's a physical release is when that happens. And I've had it once in a while, and it's really cool because something's moving. So you're experiencing that in our Soul Convergence program, which is our deep healing program to heal and to balance your masculine and feminine energy and connect to your higher self. Yeah, so that is, and that's a way to release like deep trauma, which is what's going on there. So it's fantastic, Nikki, that you're experiencing that. So congratulations to you. That is awesome. Sherry says, I hope this renewal will be true for mental health. Yes, and then we talked about that one. And then you're saying, I have my whole body shaking with spasms when healing. Just relax and accept. Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. John says, Vinnie Tolman has said during his NDE, he was shown that after the flash of light, there will be aurora borealis all over the world. Oh, isn't that amazing? Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Cannot wait. And you're saying, Amy says, love that guy. That's awesome. Lynette says, I'm going to list all my aches and pains and look back on a year. Oh my gosh, you guys, that is it's actually a really cool idea. Because here's the weird thing. After you heal something, it is really hard to remember what it was. It's literally like it evaporates out of your consciousness. So it's not a bad idea to write yourself a journal entry today and go through and like all of the things that tick you off, the things that upset you, the worries that you have, the fears that you have, the physical ailments, and just make a little catalog of like, just put a pin in it and be like, this is my truth today, knowing that in the future, you'll go back and look at that and you'll be like, I cannot believe I ever thought that. I cannot ever believe, like, these are the things that feel impossible for you, right? Where is it that you feel limited? Where is it that you feel not big enough? And write them all down and then go back and just laugh at yourself in the future. And I can so relate to that. I remember one time, oh my gosh, one time I went to a friend of mine's, a healer, and she had done a session with me, and I had moved some energy in the session. It was great. And then I went to her, she had an event and she wanted to call on me in the event so I would give, like I was in the audience, and she wanted me to like give a testimonial about like what had happened in the session. And she called on me, I'm like, yeah, I had a great experience. And then and she's wanting me to, and I literally could not remember for anything. I was trying like, what is it that I cleared? I know that was like, it felt like a big deal. Like, what was it? And I could not recall. And I still, at this moment, I can't remember what it was, but I know it was great. Yeah, it's so funny. So it just like evaporates out of your brain. So write it down. It's a great idea. Yeah. Assuming the world requirements will be paused somehow for these rests. Some seem so complicated. I imagine it will be, they've said it will be like a cocoon. So I think we'll feel the desire to go lay down, and then I think we will lay down, and then but I think it will be a thing where the world is on, like they said, time evaporates. So I think it'll be a thing where the world, and they said animals go through their own process. It's not like ours. They gave us a whole message about what happens to the animals, and they are going through their own process. So everyone on Earth is going through this, all of Earth is going through this experience. So I think you just kind of get to be in your own. Don't worry about the people that you're caring for. Don't worry about the children. Don't worry about if you have people you have to caretake for. Everyone is going to be going through the same experience where we're all going to be cocooned in this kind of like, I think it's like a pause button on time. So you can be free to have your own experience, right? And I think that's really critical to know, that you don't have to be worried about like, okay, I'm laying down, but I got to get up because I got to go let the dog out. Like, nope, the dog is okay. Like, everybody's okay. Just be in your own experience, right? And then Karen says, working with soul convergence and gift activation classes allowed me to see more of my triggers and get to the core of what I need to work through in my life. Your classes have been amazing and so healing. I'm so thankful. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. I so appreciate that. Thank you so much. That really makes me happy. Thank you. Rodney says, perhaps the rest and slumber will happen on the other side of the veil where there is no time and we return to have missed no time here. I wonder. I mean, they've described it as like a bridge or an abyss, a gap that we have to go through. So I'm not sure, like, will it be before or after? I don't know. Christine says she's is a breathwork facilitator and hypnotherapist. And these last 2 weeks, I have been so intense for my clients. They are purging trauma at such depth. Yes, exactly. You're saying in awe of this. Yeah, totally. It's time to go. It's go time to heal. Exactly, because the time is soon for stepping into the highest version of us. And in the interim, much chaos in the world will likely to. So true, Christine. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, and it is we're getting so much assistance and help. It's like the veil. They talk about the veil getting thin. Healing is on the table. Like, do your work right now. The payoff will be enormous. Yeah. And Kimberly, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that. You say to just allow. I had a dream about you in Michael's channeling class. I want to know why you were in my dreams. Oh, awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, often, especially when you guys are working with me, I will show up in your dreams. And some of the times we are literally doing work on the other side. And sometimes it represents things to you. So it could be that I'm embodying in the dream, I'm embodying a trait that you have or a gift that you have. So it could be that I'm representing a particular type of energy. So, but it's always going to be something about you. But there are times my dreams are often about other people now. And I know it sounds weird, on the other side, I'm often working with other people and helping other people on the other side. So sometimes I'm actually there with you. Sometimes, but most of the time it's going to mean something to you and something that hopefully is helping you with your healing. Yeah, super, super cool. I love it. So sometimes we're just hanging out in the astral together. And Anne says, it's so uplifting. Thank you so much. And you say, thank you for bringing it through. You're super welcome. Thank you so much for being so supportive, especially sharing these kind of messages, which can be, even though it's a beautiful, beautiful message, these kind of messages are hard for me to share because of the fact that, like I said, I worry about disappointing people if, like there's all that kind of stuff I was talking about, sharing really positive messages. And then what if, and what if you're let down, and and I just need to let it go. And of course I have those thoughts, and then I let them go. I look at that thought and I say, yep, there's a part of me that still has a little wound around that, and I need to let that go. We're always working on ourselves. So Wendy says, this isn't going to be a breeze. It's going to take our concentrated conscious to stay balanced and calm. Yes, although remember in one of the other messages, they talked about an umbrella of peace that would come over us. And they literally gave me the vision, and it comes right over our aura. It's like a little umbrella over each of us, and it's an umbrella of peace. So I think it does something to chill us out. So, and it's in one of those other two messages, which I mentioned, and I will post those for you guys so you don't have to go searching for them. But I think it will totally help us with the fear and all that kind of stuff to put us in a chill state. Not that it takes away our free choice, but I think it helps to put us in a more clarity so that we can make the choice that's best for us. Yeah. And then Holly says, beautiful message. Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And so does Patricia. Thank you very much. And then Jean says, this is like listening to poetry, the angels in the conversation. Don't you love how they speak? I agree. I love the conversation. Oh, thank you. Yes. And it would probably be spiritual leadership for you. This what Wendy is adding that probably represents spiritual leadership as your gift, which is awesome. Yes. Yes. And then Aaliyah says, love our soul convergence and gift activation programs. Oh, there we go. And I say, I was a wounded healer for so many years. Now I can feel the shift. I am ready to be the healthy healer. Woohoo! I love it. Aaliyah, that is so awesome. Oh, that makes me happy. All right. And then Janine is saying, that's super helpful to know. I care for my elderly parents and would have worried about them. Yes. Yeah. And so they're going to be having their own amazing best day on earth as well. And then Maureen says, yes, it's true. You forget about your issues when they're gone. During Soul Convergence 2, I was praying to the angels to heal my digestive issues. It wasn't until May, 5 months later, that I realized my digestion was healed. Don't you love that? Yeah, I think that is why it is really, really helpful to write it down, because we sometimes think like, all this work that I'm doing, is it working? Is it working? And like, we just forget. We forget what we've healed. Yeah, that is so awesome. And so happy for you that your digestion is healed. Congratulations. I have had a lot of healing through my digestive system as part of my growth too. That's how I manifested a lot of my wounding, was in my digestion. So I'm right there with you. I love it. Carrie says, if it happens for everyone, why will we still need to assist others? Because not all people will choose to move through the gateway. So we always have free will. And there will be some people who will turn away. And they will feel like it, and that turning away, they said, is resistance, and it comes from the desire to keep things the way that they were. And there's a lot of people who just will not have faith. They will look at this and they say, what is all this? It's foreign. I don't understand what it is. It's scary. And I was really, really looking forward to going to see that new movie that's coming out next week. And I don't want to go there because otherwise I'm not going to, or I was going to go on vacation in 2 weeks. Does this mean I don't get to go on my vacation, right? Or whatever it is. Or they may say, if I go down this path, what if my family isn't going down this path and I will lose their love? They won't love me anymore, so I better not go, right? There's all kinds of like belonging, or like there's things that and a lot of these are tied to our limitations, where people will go through an experience of fear or mostly distrust is what they're correcting me. They're saying that the fear is going to be negated. They said that the umbrella of peace is going to be there, and they're saying yes, that it will just smooth things out is what they're showing. So it will be more a feeling of distrust is why people won't choose it. So which is why it's so important that we're doing this and getting this information now, understanding it, so that we trust, that we lean in, right, that we go through the door, right? But it will be our free choice. And then Rodney says, Carrie, my impression is that everyone will have a total awakening, and this is the process being described, but everyone is at their own schedule, not at the same point in time. Yes, very true, that it will be at different times. But like I said, some people might not choose it, that they will not trust it. And there's a lot of atheists in the world. There really is. And they might have very entrenched beliefs, and this is going to be very challenging for them. And they're going to be looking through a lot towards science to try to come up until an angel comes walking down the street and looks them in the face. And then they're going to have to come up with some new explanations. And they might want to be talking to you at that point. So yeah, it's going to be a brand new world, right? Yeah, and then Nikki says, night after I had discovered you on YouTube, I dreamt you were serving me juice samples at Costco. Okay, this is hilarious. I worked at Costco. You must be psychic. I did. I literally worked at Costco when I was in college. That is so awesome. So that's fantastic. So that's healing. That would have been me serving you healing. So that is so great. I love it. That's beautiful. And if it were, depending on the color of the juice, that's going to be important. So if it was yellow or orange, or like orange is the color of career, like what are you meant to be doing in the world? So yeah, so interesting. Yeah, love it. I'm super great. I was there with you in your dream. Adrian says, when you first started the initial training with dream workers for Soul Convergence 1, in a dream you reached into my solar plexus and healed something. It was like, whoa. Thank you for letting me in, Adrian. That is super crazy. Yeah, it is amazing when we get these physical experiences of healing, and I find it to be so helpful in terms of our own journey and our own faith in our angels, right? The goal is to build increasingly our own connections, right? To get to the place where you feel the angels, where you know your angels. And when we have those physical experiences, it's like there's nothing like embodying, like, oh my gosh, they're real. I felt that, it's cool. So yeah, I'm super glad that happened for you, Adrian. Yeah. And then where were you? Rodney says, guess I'm still not clear. Will physical healing happen only to those who choose the light? Yes, the physical healing will only happen to those people who move into the higher state of consciousness. And that doesn't mean that everybody can't. That means anybody can at any point during their physical body and physical incarnation until the natural end of their lives. Anybody can choose, but some people will choose right away and some people will not. Some people will say no right up front and then they may change their mind. Or other people may say yes, but maybe not do it fully until 4 months from now, right? And they might just need a little bit more help. It might be the trust issue. They might just need a little more time to release and allow. Some people will be like, yeah, I want to. Now I'm going to grab on and hold really tight and try to control this experience. And it's not going to work because they're going to be constricting, and you can't constrict and allow this energy in. Or you can let in a little bit, but not all of it. So it's going to be a process for each person who goes through it, but it is open and available to everyone, and anyone can change their mind. They can say no up front, and then they can realize down the road, they're like, oh wow, I wish I had done that. Great, do it now, right? Because the energy will be here on the planet. The planet will be changed. So it'll be available to everybody. Yeah, which I think is so important to know, that there's no judgment at all in terms of for those people who choose to go later or who don't, or even for those who chose to stay in a karmic construct. There's absolutely no judgment, that we are all going to end up in the same place at the end. And it's not a speed contest, right? It's that at the end of the day, we are all just different aspects of the same consciousness. So the main thing is for us to try to support each other with whatever each person's journey is, to give anybody that needs it the help that we can, right? Yeah. And so if you are in a household and say, for example, that you went into your experience and they didn't, that doesn't mean that you won't be able to see them anymore or that you won't be able to be near them anymore. It does mean, however, that you can help them when it's their turn, when they choose to go, right? When they choose to make the shift, if they choose to. Yeah. And then you're saying, you thought we're referring to states. Oh, that's funny. Marissa says, I'm so glad I caught this live, even though it's late. So welcoming. So welcoming to have you here, Marissa. I'm so glad you joined us. And then Trishka says, thank you so much for sharing these messages. All right, you guys, what an awesome call today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an amazing conversation. Thank you for being so open and receptive to these messages. I'm so happy to be able to share them with you guys. So have a fantastic weekend. I'm sending you guys tons of love. And I will see you next Friday live.